If you go into the woods tonight, you'll be sure of a nasty surprise. We are talking Nightlight, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Now this in the UK is coming out in early 2018, originally released in the States in 2015. Now, I would say this about this film, it's essentially if the Blair Witch Project had pulled back the curtain and shown you what was really going on in those deep dark woods. It's essentially a found footage film about 5 teenagers as they go in the woods, just a kind of like pranks, shits and giggles basically. They're going to play this game called Nightlight. And while they're there, they discover there is a dark presence within these woods. It seems to be wanting to torture and toy with these 5 teenagers. Now it could be related to a suicide that was the friend of one of the people in this group, or it could be some other kind of like malevolent presence. You have to watch the movie to find out. So the elephant in the room is going to be the actual conceit of found footage of this film, because although it plays like a found footage, at no point does anyone record anything with a camera or a phone, anything like that. The point of view, what we actually see, comes from a torch. Yes, a torch, or a flashlight if you're from the States. So one of the characters has this torch, and that is what we see, what this torch is pointing at basically, throughout the whole kind of movie. Why? I honestly don't know. There is a line that it could be a haunted torch. You'll have to watch the movie to understand why that could be. But it seems like an odd thing, an odd choice, let's be honest. I think maybe this would have been benefited from a traditional style camera, or maybe an actual found footage, but who knows. It is what it is, so let's just deal with it. We'll go through the positives first of all. First of all, let's talk about the acting here. I thought the acting was all pretty decent from the majority of the cast. In fact, all the cast. I think they're all pretty good in delivering their lines. Some of them are a little underwritten, if we're completely honest. Our 2 main kind of female characters, who are somewhat kind of rivals, definitely get the most screen time, and they, I would say, are the strongest actors. The male characters, because it's a very small cast, to be honest, seem to be a little bit more one-dimensional, to be honest, but they don't have enough screen time to really kind of be fleshed out all that much. So nonetheless, I can't really lay it too much on their doors, because they don't really have a hell of a lot to do, if I'm completely honest. I think this movie will definitely scare some people. There is some pretty harrowing and haunting scenes within this film. And I've got to say, it's not afraid of a jump scare, which we'll come on to. But there are some shocking and pretty damn creepy images within this running time of this film. And I did like the way that it does kind of really build up a dark, foreboding, suspenseful feeling throughout this film. I think it does a good job of that. I think the actual effects here as well, although in typical kind of found footage fashion, you kind of see flashes here and there. You never really get like long good looks at stuff, but I feel it does a good job of really kind of you know, hyping up that kind of feeling of dread and you know, and just danger that's kind of obviously permeating throughout this movie. And I feel the actual story's quite fun as well about it. It kind of, you have to pay attention to a certain degree with this movie, I would say, but it does actually kind of keep you invested in what's actually happening, and you've got to kind of listen to some of the conversations and stuff, and your perception of what's going to happen will kind of change throughout the film. And I've got to say, I actually kind of quite like the endings of this movie as well. I thought it was quite good. I don't think it will be the ending for everyone. I kind of sometimes quite like these type of endings, but you know, there you go. I won't say what it is. Let's talk about what didn't work for me. As mentioned, this movie does rely heavily on jump scares, and I think maybe it goes a little bit too overboard on them sometimes. I don't mind jump scares quite as much, to be honest. I know that they're considered to be quite cheap. I don't mind them so bad. I mean, it's not the most egregious example of overusing the trope, but there is quite a lot in there. And the other thing I would say is sometimes the audio isn't very good. I mean, the problem is we're having these kind of conversations, and there's a lot of kind of whispering and talking while people are kind of panting or they're running. So it's kind of difficult to understand what people are saying sometimes, which I found a little frustrating. So that became a little bit of a problem when you're going to be listening to this kind of dialogue. And like I said, they do drop hints about the plot within kind of just sections of dialogue, so sometimes there's a little bit of a problem when you can't really hear it. And I've got to say, the whole conceit about the flashlight or the torch being a recording device, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But relatively small complaints for what I think is a solid and scary horror movie. I feel if you like the found footage genre, if you like things like Blair Witch, you'll definitely like this film. It's a well-produced film. I would say it's a professionally made piece with good performances, some genuinely great scares in it, and some and a mythology that will kind of keep you guessing. And this is not one where it kind of will tell you everything. It does end on a kind of somewhat ambiguous note, but does give you some idea about what's going on, but will leave you with questions afterwards. But I enjoyed this movie, I've got to say. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I actually really kind of wouldn't mind watching this again to see if there's bits I kind of missed, kind of maybe get a fuller idea about what the story. And when a film does that, I think it's a good sign. So that 8 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.